Okay, so what we're doing here is trying to put the fuselage together. And one thing I need to do, this little piece is the top decking. I actually sanded the edges of the top decking with just some real sandpaper because that made that part not have an edge, not have a lip when I would put it over those pieces. You can see I put one side of the fuselage on already with the Diana little figure on there, and I'm checking to see that her bow and everything matches up, and I'm just right now sort of dry fitting. Now I had to put the other side on. Now the other side, what you do is you cut it out, and then there are these tabs, and just like other tabs in this little paper model, you need to score them. I'm using the back end of an X-Acto blade. And then you fold them over because those are going to be where other pieces actually attach to, like the top and like the bottom when we finally get the bottom on. Just a couple passes, light passes is all you need. Now the problem here is that when you put it against there, it's curved. The wood is curved. So what you do is you take a mouse pad, old mouse pad there, and a tapered implement like an old paintbrush, and you roll it. I'm putting a fair amount of pressure on there, but now you end up with a curve. So the whole point of this is to make that curve be as close as you can, within reason, so that it will glue on and be nice. And that looks like it fits really well. Now, I could glue it on immediately, but right here I'm making sure the bottom, for instance, has the tabs pushed over about 90 degrees because that's going to be where the bottom of the fuselage skin will attach to ultimately when we get there. And the top tab has to be rolled over a bit because that is going to be where that top decking attaches to, and we hope it all matches and everything, which is not easy, but in this case this model is printed and made very well, so it's pretty good. So the top decking also needs to be curved, so sanded on the edges to get a nice tight fit, but also curved. So now again, I have a nice little C shape in there, and then it just fits all by itself. And a lot of this is just making sure. Oh, here there's a little tick mark that I'm trying to match up to the tick mark on the former, and I'm checking to see, oh, does it actually fit, or is there a white space open where the Diana figure is? And actually, this turned out pretty well. Now, what I did here was just a way to, I was kind of nervous about gluing the other side piece on. So I used some glue stick, which will make it stick, but it won't be permanent, and I can pull it off. But it's enough to then check for dang sure that the top decking will fit, because there's nothing like gluing this all together and then finding out that you're off by 72nd of an inch or 32nd of an inch, or it's crooked or what have you. So I put a little bit of that down. It dries quick, and what it does, it just keeps it in line, in place in its correct location. And then I can take the top decking and actually check and see, is it really and truly on there? And is it going to be lined up well? So now I can take this, it's formed, the edges are nice and sanded, it's thinner, and try to see if it really fits on. So basically line it up on one side and see if it touches all the formers, see if the markings on the side are actually in line, making sure that the dragon tail is there. You can see there's some white, but now I adjust it a little bit. And you keep going back and forth and looking and putting your fingers down and just making sure that paper actually works. Now I've tested it. It looked good to me. So I'm committing it to glue. So putting a little glue down all the formers to put the side on. And the side fits on really nice. It just fits right where you think it would, right along the edge. The bottom piece with the tab kind of almost snaps into place. Really good. Making sure with a little bit of pressure that everything is touching the right formers, everything is lined up, nothing's crooked, making sure that it's just the way it should be. And once that's together and you make sure it's good and it starts to dry, you can get ready to try to put the top on. And that was the most difficult part, only because you do want to make sure it lines up. In the end, the dragon lines up perfectly, and Diana's a little crooked. I should have gone the other way because she's the most important piece, but in any event, it still looks good, I think. And I can do a little touch up too. So now you put in a little bit of glue along the tab, and what I do here, I think, is put that one on, excuse me, and make sure that it fits and dry. So don't put it on all at once. Put on the edge, make sure it's solid, and then come back once it's dry and you know that it looks good, and you've got a nice edge that looks continuous, no step. Again, make sure everything is lined up. Once that's nice and dry, now you go back and then you'll start to glue the top on all the way around the top former, and then mate it to the bottom side. So here it's dry, the edge is nice and smooth, everything is lovely. It's already curved, so it should go down pretty easy. Now it's time to sort of test it one more time. Should work. And this is when I put it down. Invariably, when you test it, it fits perfectly, and then when you glue it, it doesn't quite fit. In my case, again, Diana looks good, but her little bow is a little off. Her little drawstring is a little off, but overall, she looks pretty good. But again, if I did it again, I'd start with her. But now I think it's pretty good. So I put a little bit of glue around all the formers and where it's going to attach. And you just put on enough to make sure that it will actually glue. This stuff, remember, dries pretty fast. But don't go crazy. Don't put a huge amount on. I tend to put on too much glue, I think, because all that does is make the paper soggy. Even though this is like a PVA glue, you shouldn't put on too much. Less is more. So now, as you put this on, you kind of roll it and stretch it, because I know that it's a tight fit. You want it ideally to just match, and you want it to look like a continuous piece of fabric going around there. And if you have white showing, you have part of the tab showing, that's no good. So it's a lot of, not hard struggling, but you got to sort of, paper modeling is a lot of test fitting, test fitting, test fitting, test fitting. Now it's on, and what I'm doing is taking a straight edge, a flat edge, and kind of burnishing the edges. Trying to sort of, there's places where, oh, there's a bump. So if you put a nice flat piece on there and kind of push it along, almost like you're sanding, that helps to burnish the edge. It helps adhesion, and it also helps kind of get on any kind of bumps. Here I even went so far as to just kind of roll it along a nice flat table. It's doing the same thing. Just makes it nice and smooth. Gives you a little extra, like I said, adhesion. Now it's nice, it's clean. Looks pretty good. Checking out how these match, and they're off, but again, not by a huge amount. I'm still pretty pleased. My little tabs are pretty close. They're not exact, but overall, the whole thing looks pretty good. The markings, again, are fantastic. I won't put the bottom on until later. I'll start working on the forward section next, which is a whole different set of skills. But there it is. Looks good. You can burnish it when it's all dry, as much as you want to heart's content, and there you got the rear fuselage going. And I have to say, it looks good.